Jennifer found out her boyfriend had a second family through a birthday post on Facebook, then a third family through a school fundraiser flyer with his name on it. By the time she found the fourth, she stopped counting families and started counting years. 4 years of her life spent with a man who belonged, quietly, to everyone but her. Marcus was the kind of man people described as solid, steady job, steady voice, steady presence. He worked as a regional sales manager, which meant frequent travel that nobody ever questioned. Jennifer met him at a friend's wedding, and within a month, he'd made her feel like the most important person in the room. Marcus traveled roughly 2 weeks out of every month, always for territory visits. He called every night without fail, which Jennifer found reassuring rather than suspicious. Looking back, she'd realized later the consistency wasn't devotion, it was routine maintenance. By their second year together, Marcus had a drawer at Jennifer's apartment and a toothbrush in her bathroom. He talked about their future in specific, believable detail: a house, eventually kids, a life that felt inevitable rather than aspirational. What Jennifer didn't know was that he'd said nearly the same words, in nearly the same tone, to 2 other women in 2 other cities. The first crack appeared during a work trip Marcus took to a city he claimed he'd never visited before. Jennifer noticed a hotel loyalty tier on his phone screen that only comes from years of repeat stays. When she asked about it, he laughed it off as a corporate account glitch, and she let it go because the alternative felt unthinkable. In their 3rd year, Marcus proposed. Jennifer said yes without hesitation, already picturing the wedding, the guest list, the dress. She had no idea that somewhere else, another woman was wearing an engagement ring that looked remarkably similar to hers. 8 months before the wedding, Jennifer's cousin sent her a screenshot with a single confused question mark. It was a Facebook post from a woman named Danielle, wishing my husband Marcus a happy birthday, tagged with 3 children's faces. Jennifer stared at the photo for almost a full minute before her hands started shaking. Jennifer's first instinct was that it had to be a coincidence, a different Marcus entirely. She spent that night reverse searching the profile photo, cross-referencing the city, the job title listed, the small details that started matching hers one by one. By 3 a.m., there was no room left for coincidence. Once Jennifer knew what to search for, the second family surfaced within days. A school fundraiser flyer, shared publicly, listed Marcus as a proud dad alongside a woman named Priya and 2 children. This family lived 4 hours away in the exact city he claimed to visit for quarterly audits. The third family took longer to find, buried under a different last name entirely. A woman named Sarah, in a city Marcus had once told Jennifer he'd never had reason to visit. 3 children between the 3 households, and, as Jennifer would later confirm, not one of the women had any idea the others existed. Jennifer sat with a notebook and mapped out his travel schedule against each family's location. The pattern was disturbingly efficient, a rotation, almost a route, hitting each household roughly once a month like clockwork. It wasn't chaos. It was a system, built and maintained with the same discipline he'd once used to plan their future together. Jennifer made a decision that surprised even her she wouldn't confront Marcus right away. She wanted proof he couldn't talk his way around the way he'd talked his way around every small suspicion for 4 years. So she waited and she watched, and for the first time in the relationship, she was the one keeping secrets. Jennifer messaged Danielle first, carefully, without explaining everything at once. Danielle responded within an hour, and what followed was a 2-hour conversation that dismantled both of their realities at the same time. Danielle believed she was legally married to Marcus. Jennifer had a ring that said the same thing. Within a week, Jennifer, Danielle, and Sarah had formed a group chat none of them ever wanted to need. They compared photos, dates, even handwriting on old cards, confirming what none of them could accept alone. 3 separate lives, one man moving between them like he was simply switching between browser tabs. The 3 women didn't want a scene. They wanted the truth, delivered on their terms, all at once, so he could never again control the narrative in separate rooms. They arranged for Marcus to arrive at Jennifer's apartment for what he believed was a normal Tuesday night. Marcus walked in already mid-sentence about his flight delay, the same easy charm he always led with. He stopped talking the moment he saw Danielle and Sarah sitting on the couch beside Jennifer. For the first time in 4 years, Jennifer watched every practiced word leave his face at once. Nobody spoke for almost a full minute. Marcus's eyes moved between the 3 of them, visibly searching for an angle, a story, anything that had worked before. There wasn't one. Not this time. When Marcus finally spoke, he didn't apologize. He said he loved all 3 of them in different ways, and that he'd simply never found a way to choose. Jennifer would later say that sentence was the moment she stopped seeing him as a man who'd made a mistake and started seeing him as something else entirely. Marcus left the apartment that night and didn't return. He blocked all 3 women within 48 hours, cutting contact the same way he'd once maintained it cleanly, efficiently, without a single wasted word. The children in all 3 households would grow up with a father who simply stopped showing up. In the weeks that followed, the women discovered Marcus had opened joint accounts and taken out small loans in each household, always under the promise of combining finances once the wedding happened. None of the 3 weddings had ever happened. All 3 sets of debt were very real. Cases like Marcus's fall into 2, a pattern psychologists describe as compartmentalized deception, the ability to maintain entirely separate emotional realities without apparent internal conflict. This isn't simple cheating. It's the sustained construction of parallel lives, each one built to feel completely real to the person living inside it. Researchers studying this behavior often point to traits associated with the dark triad, particularly high manipulation and low empathy, combined with an unusually strong capacity for compartmentalization. For someone like Marcus, each relationship likely felt genuinely real in the moment it was happening. The lie wasn't in the affection. It was in everything he chose not to say. For the women left behind, the hardest part often isn't the betrayal itself, it's the retroactive doubt. Jennifer described it as grieving a 4-year relationship and, at the exact same time, being forced to question whether any single moment of it had been true. That specific kind of grief doesn't have a clean name, but it is deeply, measurably real. It took Jennifer almost a year before she could trust her own perception of a relationship again. She started therapy, not to get over him, she said, but to relearn how to recognize what was real. Danielle and Sarah went through similar versions of that same slow, unglamorous rebuilding, each in their own city, each on their own timeline. What makes stories like this unsettling isn't just the scale of the deception, it's how ordinary the warning signs looked in isolation. A late-night call that felt reassuring, a rushed proposal that felt romantic, a travel schedule that felt like dedication to a career instead of what it actually was, a system built to keep three separate truths from ever touching. Jennifer says she doesn't share her story so people can be afraid of love. She shares it so people learn to trust the quiet feeling in their chest when something doesn't add up, even when everything on the surface looks perfect. If a part of you has been ignoring a pattern like this because the alternative feels too painful to consider, this might be the moment to finally look closer, not at him, but at what your own instincts have already been trying to tell you. If something has felt off and you've been talking yourself out of it, comment. ICIT. Sometimes the pattern was never about them. It was about learning to trust yourself again.